I'm going to start the record button and we are going to learn and grow. I am so excited. Look what I have for you today. Oh my gosh, I have Eating You Alive, the DVD. Oh my gosh, fasten your seatbelt. We're going to learn and grow with Merrilee. And the music has started. Here we go. It's time to dance, Merrilee.
Oh, yeah.
This time I can see you now.
Yeah, that's not necessarily. I don't have Paul with me to do the singing. So.
I know. We'll miss Paul. We'll have to get you back. Oh, I'm going to be giving some gifts too.
Okay, great. And those, I believe, are Blu-rays, just so you know.
Blu-rays. Oh, that's right.
Visit her on the web at whenyouneedafriend.com. Now let's all learn together. Here's Lillian McDermott.
Hello, my listening friend. It's so nice we can meet each other on the air on this beautiful, best day ever. And for those of you who are new to the Lillian McDermott radio show, the purpose of the show is to provide a safe place where you can go to when you need a friend. It is my commitment to provide alternative ways to heal. And it is my mission to make awareness, responsibility, and truth a part of our everyday life. And I hope you, my listening friend, will feel empowered to learn a new truth and live the life of your dreams. Now, today we're giving away lots of things. I'm telling you, you're going to want to save this number. You want to use it because it's going to be the 7th caller. Yes, you heard right. 7 caller or texter. You got to leave a message though for the call to count because it could be somebody else calling for the wrong number and then that person will get a credit. So 407-373-5959. So here's the deal. Remember, all of you have been asking me, where can we watch the documentary Eating You Alive? Where can we watch this documentary Eating You Alive? Well, guess what? I've got a free one here for you. 7th caller or texter will win a documentary called Eating You Alive, One Bite at a Time. Okay, so that's the first thing I'm going to give away. And because I want to encourage you to start redoing your kitchen and revamping your kitchen, what I'd like to do is, because we have 2 generous gifts here, $20 gift certificate for the people on the First Coast, Native Sun, Go Native. They have 3 locations, Bay Meadows, Jack's Beach, and Mandarin. And also Space Coast, we have Sunseed Food Co-op in Cape Canaveral, $20 gift card. So the person who wins this DVD, which is a Blu-ray of Eating You Alive, will also win a $20 gift card if you're in the First Coast, Native Sun, Space Coast, Cape Canaveral, Sunseed Co-op. Okay, they're committed to non-GMO and organic, and they make healthy living simple, delicious, and affordable. Now, you know I've been wild about Forks Over Knives and Food Matters and all these documentaries I've talked about in the past. But there's a new documentary in town that I am obsessed with. I think it's just the most wonderfully, completely done. I don't know if that is even grammatically correct, but I don't know. I'm sure that you understand what I mean. But Eating You Alive has a little bit of everything. It has science. It has doctors who have learned a new truth, people who have dared to risk embracing a new truth and feeding their body what it needs so they're not eaten alive by their food. And so I just want to bring Merrilee Jacobs. She is a co-producer of this documentary, and she is back because so many people have asked me, where can I watch this? Where can I watch this? And I didn't know what to tell them anymore. So Merrilee not only is here with us, she is giving these documentaries away. And since it is my sole purpose in life to give and receive love and knowledge, I am so grateful to Merrilee Jacobs because she's here to do just that. Welcome, Merrilee, to the Lillian McDermott Radio Show.
Thank you, Lillian. It's so good to be back, and it's so good to see you.
I know we get to see each other now. This is the show within the show. So for those of you who have never heard of you, Merrilee, I would love for them to get to know you a little better. Share a little bit about your background and how you got involved in this project.
Sure. My background was growing up, actually, we had bouts of vegetarianism in our home. But after my mom lost both her parents to cancer, she started looking for a new way, something to help mitigate potentially the risks for the rest of her family. And so after doing a lot of research, and obviously I'm 52, so this has been a while ago, she attended some classes, heard some lectures from physicians that were really recommending a vegetarian diet to mitigate the cancer risk.
Vegetarian or vegan?
It was vegetarian at the time.
Okay.
So it was really just getting rid of the meat at that point. And she came back and shared that information. And the what transpired was then that we were having all these changes in our family. We would eat meat when we went out, but she stopped cooking it at home.
Got it.
So we had various bouts of that. And then I kind of went on, grew up, pretty much stayed with that until the last few years, kind of got back into a little meat eating because I'd always loved fried chicken and steak and all of those kind of things because they taste good, And then we were introduced to the idea and the concept of a whole plant food approach to diet and lifestyle. And my business partner and the director of Eating You Alive, Paul Kennemer, he and I both sat down with a physician and we became a little bit educated about this, actually to produce some assets for a program the physician had called Dinner with the Doctor.
Okay.
And that's kind of where things got started.
Okay. And we're going to continue this conversation with Merrilee Jacobs when we return worldwide at whenyounneedafriend.com. 7th caller or texter, get going. Okay, Merrilee. I was, let me make a little bit of an adjustment there. Turn it on again. Okay, so for those of you who are watching right now, you see a beautiful sky and some dried up branches. Merrilee's on her way to pick up her daughter, and how wonderful that you would stop, Merrilee, and just take the time to be with us today. Thank you.
Oh, absolutely. And it's worth every moment that we get to stop, right, and pause in our lives to do something that we know could possibly be helpful to somebody else.
Yes.
It's worth it. So,
well, when we
drive.
Well, a nice little thing that I want to kind of update people on. We talked a little bit about your background, but we didn't. Really quickly, you talked about how you got involved in this project. We may want to reiterate that again. Here we go. Time to dance. Part 2. Can you believe it? We're already in part 2. And if you're not speaking, you can't be seen. So don't worry about it. If you want to take some water break or whatever,
73-5959. Once again, here's Lillian.
Welcome back to the Lillian McDermott Radio Show, where we're giving away a ton of gifts. So we have the documentary Eating You Alive. For those of you who have heard Merrilee and Paul on the show, they've talked about their documentary that completely blew me away. Very well balanced, very well put together. And so that's one of the gifts that we're going to be giving away. And to help you start your whole food plant-based lifestyle, we're giving away a $20 gift card. If you're in the First Coast, then you will win a Native Sun in Jacksonville and Mandarin and Bay Meadows, Jacksonville Beach, and the Space Coast Sunseed Food Co-op, because the show is rebroadcast. And so I want to make sure everybody has an opportunity. They focus on non-GMO organic, and they make healthy eating affordable. And so this documentary, Eating You Alive, is changing lives. So Merrilee, you briefly started talking about how you got involved. So it just started off as doing a project for a doctor that wanted to do what?
He actually talks about whole plant food eating and gives lectures to the community to try and help educate. So we were sitting down working on developing some assets for him to use to better communicate that message. And we became intrigued with the message ourselves. Spent about 4.5 hours, I think, with him in that meeting. And by the end of the 4.5 hours, he said to us, "Have you seen Forks Over Knives?"
Yes, that's what I say to everybody. Have you seen Forks Over Knives? Yes.
And we had not. So he said that was our prescription, that we needed to go back to the office and watch Forks Over Knives. And we did that day. We went back to the office, watched it. And when we finished, Paul turned to me, and coming from a background of being an Alabama boy and growing up with his meat and three and serious sugar cravings, he turned to me and he says, I come from a long line of ill health in my family. Father with heart attack, stroke, triple bypass, cancer, and diabetes on the mother's side of the family. He said, I'm headed down that path. I'm quite sure. I'd like to try this. I'm intrigued.
Yes.
But I can't cook. Would you be willing to help me? And I said, well, sure. Anything that keeps you healthy, keeps us being able to, an opportunity to do what I love, and that's production. So let's do that. So we talked with the rest of the crew and told him what he wanted to do. And they said, well, why don't we all just jump in and do this together? So our production team took the challenge together and we dove right in. I mean, I did not have any idea that day that we spoke with the physician. That was our first whole food plant-based day because they had served us brunch that day. And if I had known that, I might have gorged myself on cheese the night before. That didn't happen. So and this is, 6 weeks in to the challenge. The changes were so dramatic and transformational. It was like, why doesn't everybody know this?
Yes.
And then we're like, well, how can we let everybody know? And since we do production, production and telling stories is what we do. It seemed like the perfect storm for being able to communicate what had happened to us, but not talk about us so much as tell our story through the stories of others.
Yeah, and you guys did a very good job. It's very well balanced. You took the science and you actually made it work for us. So we got to see people who started off as diabetic, people that were afraid to release weight or to change their diet. What have you discovered since doing this documentary about food and people's attitude about food?
I would say that, there's that old saying that there's two things you never discuss, and that's religion and politics. I would say that the discussion of food, no pun intended, but trumps both of those things. I mean, it's better to discuss politics or religion before you discuss what somebody puts in their mouth. I really do believe that there's nothing more intimate and more emotionally charged than food, because food has the ability to addict us in a way that politics and religion don't and can't. It's a physiological response. And when you start messing with people's food, you start messing with things like tradition and culture and emotions. And that makes it really powerful. Probably one of the most powerful elements I can possibly think of that affects us in our world.
Absolutely. I remember I was challenged, well, first of all, I found out I had food allergies. I had to change the way I ate back in 96. And that was right about the time they started altering wheat and corn and all of that with GMOs. And I became very sensitive right away. I didn't realize that it could have been the changes in the food that was affecting me, not necessarily the food. Then the next thing I did, I gave up beef and pork, and you would have thought I gave up my religion or my faith in my family. But then maybe, I had given up beef and pork back when I was 21. But then that's in 1996, that's when I gave up the wheat, the dairy, the nuts, and started eating, I continued to eat poultry, but that's when I was made fun of. It wasn't just, it's like, it's right in there in your plate. I was allergic to the stuff. It wasn't like I was choosing this lifestyle. This lifestyle chose me. And so the one thing about food I want to say that I realize, it can alienate people.
Absolutely.
It could alienate people, make them feel less than if you choose to eat differently than your family. So prepare for that. And this next thing is about food addictions, which all food that is processed, synthetically processed, is designed to addict us. It is designed to make us crave it and want it even more, which here we are seeing this food issue, the weight, disease, all these issues. The documentary Eating You Alive is unbelievably causes awareness to the person who is what you can no longer ignore what you're eating. And you get to look at it in a different way. So if you're the 7th caller or texter, you will get not only the documentary Eating You Alive on the Blu-ray DVD, you will also get a $20 gift card to start your whole food plant-based diet. So let's talk about the premise of whole food plant-based for people that are new to the Lillian McDermott radio show. Maybe they don't know what whole food plant-based is. So go ahead and share that, Merrilee. What have you learned?
Well, there's a lot of confusion, I think, and it's kind of centered around the terms vegetarian, veganism, and now you have this, new contestant called whole food plant-based, and what is that? And it's kind of funny. In some respects, I think Paul has referred to, we talk about extremism sometimes, and he's referred to it as being a Shiite vegan. But the thought is that veganism oftentimes is more associated with ethics, the ethical part of being a vegan, which is obviously protecting all life and all creatures, and we don't eat them because we want to take care and protect them. And in a whole food plant-based lifestyle, oftentimes actually it's not so much the ethical part of veganism that it entails, but more a focus on the food, eating whole foods closer to their whole form, instead of reductionism, reducing things like, instead of drinking orange juice, we eat the whole orange, because reducing it to juice actually removes a lot of the nutrient value that we get from eating that whole food. For us, and I actually believe that when you become whole food plant-based, in a lot of respects, when you move into this arena, you do become focused on where your food comes from, though. And so for us, it's been developed an ethical side of that too. So that's why he talks about being a Shiite vegan. Vegans oftentimes can be healthy, but then there's so many vegan products out there, and I think people don't realize that just being a vegan isn't necessarily healthy, because there's a lot of processed food involved. It's great for the animals, but the whole food plant-based vegan, if you will, kind of combines the focus on food as well as the ethical side of it, and it focuses on the food being its healthiest form for your body that is actually disease reversing. And I think those are some of the differences. So when we talk about whole food plant-based, you can be assured that that approach is the optimal approach for reversing disease in your body. And then as you become more aware, I think the compassion for animals comes along with that, and actually care for the environment too, because it's a 3-pronged fork, if you will.
Sure.
The environment, health, and compassion for other living creatures, I think, comes full circle as you become more aware and you kind of develop these senses about what is healthier for you. Actually then starts to extend out to what is healthier for those around us and what is healthier for the planet.
Very good. Very good. And I'm glad that you brought up vegan, because yes, we can focus on veganism as compassion for animals and wanting to focus on the animals. But in the process, what could happen is there are vegans out there that their diet consists of potato chips, pasta, and Oreo cookies, all vegan products that do not bring the nutrients. So the whole food plant-based is that next level where we're saying, no, it's not just about protecting animals. It is about protecting our health as well. And so you can win a copy. So this documentary is called Eating You Alive. It's very educational. For those of you who believe that you need to eat a certain way, or you were raised, I love it when people say to me, well, this is cultural. Hey, listen, I grew up Spanish Italian, and my father always had a big old cow, half a cow stored in the freezer, deep freezer, and we would have T-bone steaks every weekend. That's cultural, but I made a choice that this did not support my body anymore. And it is amazing. And you say you're 52. I'm 54. So, I mean, I would never have guessed, Merrilee, that you were 52.
Oh, well, thank you. I wouldn't have never guessed you were 54 either. But
Well, thank you. But this is what happens when you start giving your body what it needs. It starts responding. So be the seventh caller or texter, 407-373-5959, and you will get your free copy of Eating You Alive. Now, since you've done the documentary, you've had private viewings, and after you were on the show, people were texting me, emailing me, where can we watch this documentary? Because you're not on Netflix. Where are you now?
okay, so you are actually the very first audience to hear this because it's been under wraps for a while.
Oh,
And
boy.
that is that we are coming to theaters, over 500 theaters across the U.S.
Ooh.
February the 7th. February the 7th, it's a special engagement, one night only through Fathom Events.
Okay.
Fathom Events is a collective of AMC, Cinemark, and Regal theaters, the three largest theater chains in the U.S. And we're being programmed in that so we can have as wide a release as possible to get to as many people as possible. And then after that event, then DVDs and Blu-rays and digital downloads with Spanish subtitles now as well.
Wow.
Website. So yeah, really excited about that.
And we have the first DVD copy here. It's a Blu-ray for the seventh caller or texter. You'll get your own preview, and we get to start a life again. Take your health back. You will see people that have made that choice in this DVD and the astounding results that we all know will happen as a result. That's the side effect of eating a whole food plant-based diet. And we're going to continue our conversation with Merrilee Jacobs when we return worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. We'll be right here waiting for you. Okay, so we're going to continue our next segment. And Merrilee, as you know, I'll talk a little bit about my show and how to get a hold of me, and then I'll reintroduce you again. This is fascinating. This documentary is changing lives, and I hope that you feel that this is the absolute best thing that you're doing. Payment in so many different ways.
You can text Lillian McDermott or leave her
Okay, here we go.
407-373-5959. Once again, here's Lillian.
And welcome back to the Lillian McDermott Radio Show, where you can hear us worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. I am your host, Lillian McDermott, and it is my desire that I encourage you. It is my sole purpose when I meet somebody new to learn something from them. And Marrilee Jacobs and Paul Kanamir have been such great teachers, not only to me, but for anybody who watches this documentary. We're talking about the documentary Eating You Alive, which is probably the best prescription you can give yourselves. And I know that we are in holiday mode. I know that pretty soon we'll be in, oh my gosh, I've got to release all this weight that I gained during my holiday mode. Now it's time to starve myself. That is not how we do it. And so what I'm hoping that through the show that we will learn together how to eat properly. This is the information our moms and dads did not know, that their parents did not know, and their parents before them did not know. So this is a new truth. There was a time where they thought the earth was flat until we learned a new truth. Now we know differently, but there are still people that believe the earth is flat. It's called the Flat Earth Society, and I do too much advertising for them. I know I got to change my example. If anybody has another example, text me. But you could call 407-373-5959 to win not only Eating You Alive, but I have two generous groups that would like to also assist you in your change. And the first one is for the First Coast is Native Sun Go Native, 3 locations, Bay Meadows, Jacksonville Beach, Mandarin, and also in Space Coast would be Sunseed Food Co-op. That's in Cape Canaveral Florida. And we are absolutely excited. $20 gift card plus the DVD Never Seen Before. You have your own copy now, your 7th caller or texter. And so go to whenyouneedafriend.com, become a subscriber, and make sure that you also check out my sponsors. Without my sponsors, the show would not happen. So support them the way they're supporting the show. Also, feel free to check out, push all these little buttons, because they will take you to YouTube, social media, my podcast. And now, not only am I on iTunes, Google Play Music, and iHeartRadio, I'm also on Spotify, for those of you who love Spotify. So no excuse, we can stay together, stay in contact with one another, but please like my social media. Please subscribe to my website. That's how I know you are listening out there. And that is my currency. Is when every time you like my post or anything that you do to add that intention of I am with you, it makes my heart sing. Eating You Alive, the documentary, 7th caller or texter, you'll be the first one, other than me, to have your own copy of this wonderful documentary. Merrilee and I were talking about the fact that this is such an important thing, the February 7th. And I don't like normally to date stamp, but I'm going to stamp ourselves here. How do we find out? How do we discover where in these 500 locations if it's near us?
Well, actually, that information is going to be released soon. It's not up yet, but they can go to eatingyoualive.com.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll find the tab there that will have all the theater listings. Again, it's not up quite yet. I expect that we will probably be up before the first of the year. Tickets go on sale January 5.
Mm-hmm.
So you can advance purchase your tickets, and now we expect they're going to go quick. The network has been activated, and people are going to be talking about it all over the place. So those theater locations will be up by the 1st, I believe. And just keep checking back at eatingyoualive.com.
Okay, so that's really good. So eatingyoualive.com, be the 7th caller or texter and you can get your own copy, 407-373-5959. You can call once, you can call 7 times. It is up to you and how much your intention is to win this copy today. I love this documentary. And of course, you know that I've talked about Forks Over Knives. And that is so important for us to educate ourselves. Start small, go big until it makes sense to you. Now, for someone who would like to eat a whole food plant-based, Dr. Joel Furman is a regular on my show. He's been a regular on my show for 2 years now. Okay, so the nutritarian lifestyle allows 0 to 5% animal products. How have you been able to resolve, will a whole food plant-based lifestyle include animal products, up to 5%? Share a little bit about that.
Sure. Everybody takes a different approach, and it seems to me like you kind of end up doing what you think is going to work for you and what you can sustain. And I think most of the physicians that you speak with in the documentary
Mm-hmm.
would say that absolutely the optimal diet is one without animal products in it.
Okay.
And without processed oils, without added oils.
Sure.
As well. And but each of them kind of tweaks it just a little bit, I think, oftentimes, so that it's not so scary for people to make the transition. They're
Mm-hmm.
more likely to make it if it doesn't seem so extreme to them. But the optimal way is to eat plants in their whole form as close as possible to their whole form, and without any animal products, and highly processed foods, meaning the added oils and the refined flours and sugars. We found this to be the case. For us, what we found was when we dove in the deep end, We didn't wade in slowly. When we dove in the deep end, we went all in. It was all whole foods as close to possible. I mean, we do some whole grain breads and things of that we make. But when we jumped in, no animal products, zero added oil, zero refined sugars and things of that nature. The results, the transformation was so dramatic.
Yeah.
That's what excited us, and that's what made it sustainable for us. We wanted to continue to do that. And the problem, I think, oftentimes for people is if you think, well, I can have a little bit of this or a little bit of that, for some, you never get over the addictive properties then. You don't retrain your taste buds when you do that. And so some people, it's great and they can get results by doing that. For us personally, it wasn't that way. And we were so focused on wanting to rid ourselves of disease. And we were so focused on wanting to rid ourselves of the weight and reach optimal health that we decided we would go all out. And we are so glad that we did. And for the people that do that, I think the transformations are just so unbelievable, really.
Yeah.
That's what creates those inspiring stories.
Yeah, we've had Mylan Ross on the show, and he released about what 150 or 100 and
well, I know he went from 518 down to 2 something. So.
He told me, I spoke to him just a couple of days ago. He's at 198 or 187 now, and
some pounds.
he's doing great. It's completely changed his life. His story is so compelling. What his point for him was when he couldn't get on a ride at Magic Kingdom, I believe it was, or it was the Harry Potter. Universal, yeah. It was the Harry Potter.
I mean, just so heartbreaking. And I think that should be one of the motivating factors for us. If you're not going to do it for yourself, what about your children?
Yes.
Your children are modeling what you do. You're teaching them how to eat. And whatever you're dealing with right now, you can be assured that it's not necessarily genetic. You're actually training your children to have some of these same issues as they grow older. And so sadly, a lot of these issues are actually starting to hit our kids at a younger and younger age because of the horrible way that we've been eating and that we've been told to eat. It's actually been a programming, I believe.
Absolutely. Everything is a programming. Everything is a programming, because when we're born, we don't know anything. How do we figure out anything? We've been programmed to believe a certain way. And it's that I need to be right about my belief that really gets us in trouble. Now, we talked about how food is designed for addiction, especially the food that is processed foods are designed with they spend billions of dollars to come up with the perfect combination. This is what I've learned from doing the show from people and teachers like you and Paul. And so here's the deal. You don't need to smoke. You don't need to drink alcohol. You don't need to do heroin or snort crack cocaine, but we do need to eat. And when we eat a whole food plant-based diet, we don't crave the sugar. We don't crave, because we discovered that there are fruits that, like mojule dates. Isn't that wonderful? A mojule date.
Yes.
I mean, we don't need to eat the sugar. And all of a sudden, your palate changes, and the side effect of eating a whole food plant-based, I'm not just saying that you have to give up all animal products, but bring it down to at least 5%, and that way you'll get whatever you need. If you cannot think of vegan, then perhaps whole food plant-based with a little bit of up to 5%, a nutritarian lifestyle like Dr. Joel Fuhrman talks about, might be the best for you. Be the 7th caller or texter, and you will get the first copy, hot off the press, of Eating You Alive, 407-373-5959. And you will also get a $20 gift card to start your whole food plant-based lifestyle. And we'll be right here waiting for you. What people don't understand is that when you eat this way, you will never have to diet again.
I know.
Never.
Absolutely.
How has it been for you, Merrilee, changing? You seem to have been very close to this lifestyle. How hard was it to give up cheese, though?
I actually wasn't. I mean, like I said, I had bouts of vegetarianism, you know. So while we may not have been eating the meat during my kind of some of my growing up years, I would say my later growing up years, we weren't fixing it at home. I would have it on occasion. And then once I got older, over in the last few years, actually working in production, you know, our biggest thing would we go out after a big shoot. We'd go out to a nice restaurant, and I loved steak. I grew up loving steak, you know, so that was kind of my thing with mushrooms and sauteed onions and all that great stuff. It tastes great. I'm not telling you that it doesn't taste good. It's just that how worth it is it to do something, to eat something that tastes good when you know that it's killing you? You know,
Yeah.
it's that choice. For me, so I always ate a lot of vegetables, so that wasn't so hard. But the dairy, in all honesty, I was a closet cheese eater. I mean, I ate it in public too, but you know, what the public didn't see is I'd go buy my little block of Havarti with dill, you know, that creamy, buttery cheese, and I would eat the whole brick myself. You
Wow.
know, crackers, it was no big deal for me to do that. But as I was getting older, what I was noticing is when I drank milk or ate ice cream or ate cheese, my face would break out, and I would have some gastrointestinal issues that started to occur that I had never had before.
Mm-hmm.
That slowly, I mean, I knew it was the dairy, but I didn't want to give it up because I was addicted to it.
Yeah.
In all honesty, the cheese was hard for me. The sugar, not a big deal. The meat, not a big deal, but the cheese, the dairy was a really tough thing. And Dr. Barnard wrote a book. I wrote him a letter and I
The
said,
cheese trap.
did you write this book just for me? I know. And I was so glad he came out with it, because I really do believe that in all reality, the sugar and the dairy seems to be the two things that are actually most difficult for people to give up. It's not the meat at all. It's the cheese and the dairy.
You know, I was challenged. I don't know if you remember this or if I've shared this with you, Merrilee, but I was challenged on the show about a year after I started the show. My show was all about being a compliant patient and talking about, you know, having roundtable conversations about events, you know, or things that were happening. And after a year of doing the show, I had this raw foodist come on the show and challenge me to go raw vegan for a month. And I said, bring it, I can do it. You know, no big deal. After 5 days, 5 days, I was like sleeping well, breathing better. And I wasn't sick.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I had chronic asthma, but, you know, that has been improved with vitamin C, and I've now switched to a whole food plant-based vitamin C.
Yeah, very
So,
cool.
yeah. So, I mean, everything has just changed. If we were lied to about food back then, what else have we been lied to, right?
Well, exactly.
That started off my journey.
You can text
So,
McDermott or
this is the last segment. Is there
407
anything that you want to make sure we cover today?
5959.
No,
Once
just
again,
whatever
here's
you want
Lillian.
to.
Okay. And welcome back to the Lillian McDermott Radio Show, where we always learn from one another. And today's teacher is co-producer of Eating You Alive, One Bite at a Time. We have got a free Blu-ray disc for you, hot off the press. You will be the first one to own a copy of this DVD. And you will also get a $20 gift card for those of you who live in the First Coast. So it'll be Native Sun, and they have 3 locations. And also in the Space Coast area, Sun Seafood Co-op is donating a $20 gift card. Both of them are non-GMO. They've made a commitment to no GMO, and all their produce is organic, non-GMO, and they make life simple for us, so we don't have to guess what is not, and affordable too. So we'll start. You know, I know that the New Year's resolutions are right happening, but I'm saying we got to declare this. It's not about a resolutions. Resolutions, 7% of the time work. And if you're a part of that 7%, God bless you. However, if you're like most of us who it's an idea, a passion, I'm telling you that if you just make a tiny little shift and start building on that shift, you will start feeling better. And Eating You Alive is a great documentary that is very well balanced. It gives you the science. It gives you the people that are trying to do it. The progression of the people that are doing this, talking about doctors talking about why they shift to this whole food, plant-based lifestyle. It is really well done. And so, Merrilee, what has been your number one takeaway from doing Eating You Alive, the documentary?
I think the number one takeaway is that people are suffering and they are looking for answers. And there is such a confusing world out there that when you present a message of hope like this is, that has results that are proven, you know, we always hear that doctors say, well, I'm not going to tell my patients to do that because they won't do it. I believe a lot of it is in your approach. When you present the information in a compelling way and present hope, people are absolutely willing to do that. And they're asking, the first question they ask is, I'm convinced how. Yeah. They are looking for answers. They're looking for a way to stop the suffering, to stop the pain, to stop the grief and loss from losing loved ones to chronic diseases that are preventable and reversible. And that's the takeaway. And you know, something I wanted to say is, because you mentioned coming into New Year's resolutions, you know, so that time of year where we go all out during the holidays and then we pay for it in January and we kind of make this determination that we're going to do something different. And the holidays is a tough time. I remember coming into it, our first holiday season, there was a lot of fear around what in the world were we going to eat, you know, because it's so tied to family traditions and things of this nature. And one of our physicians in the film made the point that during the holiday times is when they see the most influx, the highest influx of people coming into the hospital with heart attacks and strokes and things of this nature. And it's triggered by the food. So this year, what I would say is during the holiday season, if you're in the mode of gift giving, give the best gift to yourself of determining that you want life. And that is by making a choice to be very intentional about what you put into your mouth. Because if you're really intentional about what goes in, there will be no guilt on the other side. And guilt is such a burden that we carry in so many ways. And it's like New Year's hits and there's this depression and this guilt around what we just did over the last month.
Yeah, it's
and it
almost
doesn't
like
have
we
to
wake up. It's like, oh my God, what did I do?
I remember, you know, holidays were always about gorge. And like after the big, you know, Thanksgiving or Christmas meal, everybody was so full and they were miserable and, you know, stuffed and bloated and all this kind of thing. And I cannot tell you how much we enjoy the holidays now because we eat this meal, we're stuffed. I mean, when we're stuffed, we're full, we're satiated, and we still have energy to go on a walk and we play games and, you know, we're active and involved with each other. And the best part of it is there is no weight to lose after the new year.
That's right. That's right. And Merrilee, that's the one thing we were saying off the air, that when you start eating a whole food plant-based diet, you never have to lose weight again.
No.
You never have to worry about it because, you know, all of a sudden, and in the documentary, you'll see people who were diabetic getting off their diabetes medication. People that had heart conditions, especially in like Forks Over Knives. Dr. Esselstyn, who's been on the show before, talks about how the heart disease doesn't need to happen. None of this is hereditary. Yes, you have your parents' DNA, but you can turn it on and turn it off by the way you eat, because that's what you inherited. You inherited the family recipes. And that's what isn't that a great legacy? What did you inherit from your parents? Heart disease, because I got the recipes. So let's change this. Be a generational pattern shifter that we've talked about on the show before. And it's you just stop. You say, this is going to end with my generation. It's going to be done. I'm going to teach my children how to eat well. Now, you can get a free copy of your DVD by calling 407-373-5959. It's the seventh caller to leave a message, or text her 407-373-5959. And you're going to get a $20 gift card from either Native Sun or Sunseed Co-op. And you can go to eatingyoualive.com, go to eatingyoualive.com to look for where, if there is a theater release near you, take your entire family. That is the gift that keeps on giving. So there's so many different ways that we can take our health back. And one of the things the Lillian McDermott radio show is committed to, and I don't know if Merrilee, if you guys want to join us on this one, but we want to create an event on the Lillian McDermott radio show. We'll either do it in Salem station, Salem Center, and we can have up to 450 people or more. We'll move it if more people are interested in coming to this event. But we are going to start learning. We're going to learn how to eat a whole food plant-based diet. We're going to relearn, because if we think that that our food isn't doing anything to us, what would you say to that? You know, I don't react to my food. I'm fine, and I'm like 70 pounds overweight, but that's okay. What do you have to say about that?
You know, it's interesting. People talk about the science, you know, there's no science behind a whole food plant-based approach to eating and the reversal of disease. And I would say, if you really do believe that, and you believe that what we're doing is good, then why are the numbers of chronic disease growing exponentially,
Yes.
not just in the United States, but around the world? This is now a global problem. It's a global issue. When the World Health Organization comes back and says these meats, these processed meats are cancer causing, you know, the World Health Organization, it should be the logical conclusion that we've had more medications than ever. We are supposed to have all this science that talks about, you know, what we should eat. There's no, quote, science supporting a whole food plant-based lifestyle, and yet our chronic diseases keep climbing. It's because of the food. So we need to go back to the causation of the disease. And if there's hope in changing that, it would be hope found in doing something different than we've always done it.
Yes, and this is a good time to make that commitment. And as I said before, we have made a commitment to do an event where we get to learn and taste the food that's whole food plant-based. We're going to make this big. And I hope that you will stay tuned to this one, because it might happen in January or February. And I will make that announcement soon. We're just getting all the final sponsors put together, but I am excited. And thank you, Merrilee, for everything that you're doing to make our life healthier. This documentary will save lives. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you for having us. And we'd love to be a part of your event.
Okay. There you hear it. You heard it. Stay tuned for that. And please remember, you can take a pill or you can take responsibility. It's not that I'm against pills. It's that I am for doing everything you can. There's food. Let your medicine be your food, and your food thy medicine. That's how it goes, or backwards. I think I messed it up, but please remember, I'll be right here waiting for you worldwide at whenyounneedafriend.com. This is Lillian McDermott wishing you love, peace, joy, and unexpected abundance. Make it the best day ever. Yeah, there we go. Sorry, Brian, I overshot the time. Okay, Merrilee. Yes, I will have Ashley reach out to you for this, but is there one last thought that you'd like to share before we go?
I would share that when tickets are available, I will make sure that your show gets some tickets that you can give away to listeners. So I'll be back in touch with you.
Wonderful. I do want to know about that. So thank you so much. I'm going to stop the recording. I appreciate you, Merrilee, and I appreciate you staying for my viewers for watching this show all the way to the end. And I look forward to our next conversation.